Tom Clancy's The Division is a third-person co-op cover shooter with RPG elements that make for a somewhat unique experience that some will find exciting and addicting, leaving a player wanting more and more. For others, it may not be their kind of game. What do I think of Tom Clancy's The Division? Find out now. Here is my review for The Division. So Tom Clancy's The Division on Xbox One has gorgeous graphics for a console game running at 1080p 30 FPS. The Division fits in with most games of the current generation of consoles. This makes for a smooth and solid gameplay experience for pretty much the entire game. The Division's main game is filled with content from obvious story missions to side missions to random encounter missions and even the usual collectibles that make for plenty of content to keep the player busy and engaged for hours. Although somewhat repetitive, I found myself trying to play the game like a traditional RPG, doing some of the side content instead of heading straight for every single story mission at once. Customization in The Division is like that of most other RPGs, with each character having its own gear, stats, skills, perks, and even talents. In The Division, each set of skills, perks, and talents are linked with one of 3 wings in the base of operations, the main hub of the game. Unlocking an upgrade for one of these 3 wings will grant you with a new perk, skill, and talent. Each of the 3 wings have several upgrades costing a different amount of upgrade points, acquired by doing main missions and encounters. Each skill, perk, and talent is best used according to your playstyle. However, you can mix skills and talents together between each tree, and all skills and talents can be changed on the fly anytime during gameplay. The Division is also filled with several types of gear pieces to find and equip to further the power of your agent. Gear pieces range from gloves to backpacks to knee pads and even masks. Clothing items exist as well, however these are for cosmetic purposes only. Each piece of gear can have a different drop color. For example, a purple gear piece is considered a superior item, as an orange colored gear piece is a high-end piece. The Division is filled with fun guns to use: assault rifles, SMGs, LMGs, shotguns, and marksman rifles, each having their own advantages and set of stats. Each weapon can also have its own drop color. Again, for example, purple is superior, as orange or yellow is the highest end piece of gear that you can possibly get. The story of The Division is interesting but sometimes confusing, leaving you wanting more, but at the same time leaving you wonder what just happened, or wondering how what you just did in gameplay helped anything at all. While I played the story of The Division, most of the missions I found I would play just for the purpose of getting them done to gain upgrade points for my base, rather than trying to learn more about what happened in the story of the game. Although interesting at times, the story seemed to drag on, and the missions seemed to be there for the sole purpose of gaining upgrade points for the base of operations. It's also worth mentioning that each main mission has a level recommendation, meaning you could play one mission at level 15 and have it go easily, but then play a mission with a level recommendation of 20 and have a much more difficult time completing the mission. The fact is that you're just going to have to do some of the side content before jumping into other missions in order to smoothly progress through the story of the game. I felt the side missions and encounters in The Division were present only for the purpose of gaining XP to reach that level 30 level cap, which feels like a huge grind after 10 hours or so of gameplay. After about 10 hours of gameplay, I was about level 23 or somewhere along those lines, but from there, it just felt like an extreme grind to hit that level cap of 30. Side missions are meant to give good chunks of XP and cool gear. They pretty much just gave good XP. At low levels, the gear received from the side missions is useful, but as you gain the higher levels, the mission rewards seem to feel more and more useless, and I usually ended up just breaking them down for crafting materials or selling them. Although in order to complete the main missions, you'll need to do several side missions and encounters to reach the proper level requirement for the main missions, like I stated earlier. The encounter missions pretty much all feel the same, although generally pretty quick and easy. They only give a small amount of XP and very little upgrade points, making them feel as if they were put in the game just for filler. Doing a lot of them stacks up the XP pretty quickly, but you're going to get extremely bored of them after playing 5 or 6 in a row. However, this does not make The Division a bad game at all. Playing Tom Clancy's The Division solo is possible, although it's less exciting and slightly more difficult at times. The Division was built to be a co-op experience, therefore it's much more fun to play with 2 to 4 players. In my experience, every mission in The Division is naturally more fun, exciting, and engaging with a full party of 4. The Dark Zone in The Division, although it does have its issues, is the most interesting, engaging, dangerous, and fun part of the whole game. The Dark Zone acts as the PvP area of the game. This is the only area of the game where players may kill or spare other players. The Dark Zone provides the player exciting and engaging gameplay that keeps them at the edge of their seat wondering what will happen. Will you make friends or enemies? PvP in the Dark Zone can be extremely fun when you can find someone, and there is a huge problem in the Dark Zone finding people most of the time. If you jump in and out of matchmaking, you can find other players, but I have a hard time finding some players sometimes in the Dark Zone. So, anything can happen in the Dark Zone. The Dark Zone is part of the map that provides the most unique and best gear in the game. The Dark Zone has its own currency that can be used at several vendors in the Dark Zone, as well as a vendor in the base of operations after upgrading the tech wing that provides some pretty high-end gear. However, everything in the Dark Zone requires a certain Dark Zone rank to buy, some ranks being way too high, meaning in order to buy anything at all in the Dark Zone, you have to be at least Dark Zone rank 30, or you just cannot buy anything. When acquiring gear in the Dark Zone, it must be extracted in one of several sites. The Dark Zone is by far my favorite part of the game and where I plan to spend most of my time. Some people find the endgame the most important part of the game. The endgame of the Division is decent but not perfect. When all the main missions are complete and you reach that level cap of 30, what's left to do? Well, there's plenty left to do, to be honest. Chances are you have yet to complete every single encounter and side mission after beating the main story. There's still plenty of collectibles scattered around Manhattan to find, and reaching level 30 unlocks a few new things to keep the player busy. Daily missions, challenge mode missions, and a new currency used to buy the highest end items called Phoenix Credits. Phoenix Credits can be earned by doing daily missions or replaying missions that reward, most of the time on hard difficulty. Challenge mode is a new difficulty meant to be played with a full party of 4, combining all skills and strategy together to complete the mission. Most challenge mode missions provide you with high-end loot and up to 30 Phoenix Credits. So, let's review. What are my pros of The Division? The game is super easy to pick up and play if you're new to this type of game. The beautiful graphics provide for an amazing and great looking overall experience. The co-op experience is fun and engaging all the time. The Dark Zone, I think, is unique and extremely fun to play, most of the time with your friends. There's plenty of content in the game to keep the user busy for hours. It has a very, very good end game and virtually no game bugs or glitches. Now, I did come up with one basically game-breaking bug that stopped me from completing a mission, but that was the only issue I ever had. Now, the cons are that leveling can be an extremely grinding process after a while, which the game is fun enough, again, with teammates that it can be looked past. A lot of content is pretty difficult solo, although it is possible to play it solo. The Dark Zone is sometimes hard to find other players, so the PvP encounters are sometimes far and few between. Dark Zone rank requirements are just too high for a lot of the items. Again, like I mentioned, the lowest ranked items you have to be rank 30, as the highest rank is like rank 50, I think. The story could be a little bit better. It's alright, but it kind of drags on a little bit, and the main missions are somewhat lackluster. Again, goes back to the story. They kind of drag on. So Tom Clancy's The Division is an overall fun game to play, especially with your friends, and it'll keep you busy for hours on end, guaranteed. So with all that being said, I thank everyone so much for watching, and I'm going to give Tom Clancy's The Division an 8.5 out of 10.